fire is talking low tonight, just a whisper of pitch popping in the coals, and the snow out past the light is coming down thick and slow, the way it does when the country means it. There is close to 3 feet of it packed on the flat, and more on the drifts against the deadfall. The wind has laid down for the moment, but the dark is leaning in against the edge of the firelight like a thing that is waiting me out. The spruce stand black and still all around, hung heavy, bent under the weight of a whole winter. I have got a pot melting at the edge of the coals, and the sound of it is the only warm sound for 2 days' walk in any direction. And I am sitting here, thinking about a man I knew, and about the thing that killed him. I have done everything right by the book more times than I can count, and I have watched it fail me anyway. I have drunk my fill. Drunk until my belly sloshed and I could not hold another swallow, and still felt myself going hollow and slow and cold from the inside out. That never made a lick of sense to me when I was young. You feel a thing is right, and your body keeps telling you it is wrong. It is like priming a pump with a cracked seal and drawing nothing but air. You work the handle till your arm gives out, and the well is full underneath you the whole while, and not one drop comes up. So here is the thing I mean to tell you, and I want you to hear it flat and plain. The most ordinary, easy, free thing a man can put in his body has laid more good trappers cold in the snow than any bear that ever walked. More than any fall through rotten river ice. More than any blizzard that ever came screaming down out of the high country in the black of night. Men fear the bear. Men fear the ice and the storm. And all the while, the quiet killer was the thing they reached for without thinking twice. I know how backward that sounds, so stay with me. It will not fill the emptiness that opens up in you come the killing time. It will not warm the deep cold that settles into a man's core when the fat is gone. It will not hold you upright through one of these long black nights when the country is testing to see if you have got the sense to last till morning. What it does do is talk to you. It tells you a soft lie. It makes you a promise it has got no way of keeping. And a man who trusts that promise is a man digging his own grave, one easy swallow at a time. Nobody teaches this anymore. Nobody sits a young man down and warns him. The old warnings have gone plain quiet, buried under 100 years of easy living and full shelves. And I will tell you now, without naming them yet, there are folks who do just fine off you believing the exact opposite of what I am about to say. They have got no reason to want this knowing kept alive. It costs them when you know it. The fix for it costs you nothing, not 1 cent. It is the very part that near everybody alive today scrapes off into the dirt, or tosses in the bin, or walks right on past without a second look. It is the part a man will pour out on the ground because he was raised to think it was the worthless part. I have seen a fellow throw away the thing that would have saved his life and thank himself for keeping the part that would kill him. That is how upside down we have gotten, and I am not going to name it yet. Keep listening, because once you see this, you will never look at a full stream or a clean drink of water the same way again. It will change what your eyes tell you. It will change what your body tells you. I am not a man who read this off a page. I ran a trap line for the better part of my life, up in country where the nearest other soul was 2 days' walk and a frozen river crossing away. And some of those winters, I did it alone from the first snow to the breakup. I have set marten and lynx and beaver. I have skinned by feel with numb hands in the dark, and I have gone to bed on an empty stomach more nights than I would care to tell you. I have had the good winters where the meat pole hung heavy, and I have had the lean ones, the ones where I caught near nothing for a stretch of weeks, and had to learn what my body would do when I asked too much of it. That is the only way this knowing ever sticks. You learn it by needing it so bad it burns itself into you. A man who has never needed it will nod along and forget it by supper. The men who taught me were the same. They did not learn it from any book, neither. They learned it the hard way, out on the land, in the years before the roads. They learned it because they had buried friends over it. Grown men, strong men, good woodsmen, laid in the frozen ground because they trusted a thing they should never have trusted. When a man has helped dig a grave and ground froze hard as iron, he does not forget the reason he was digging, and he passes it on rough and plain, the way it was passed to him. Now here is the myth, the thing most folks today have flat backward. We have got it in our heads that if you have got water, you are all right. That water is life, water is safe. Water is the clean, pure thing the body wants above all else. Picture it the way most men do. A clear, cold stream running right past your camp, singing over the rocks, never freezing at the fast spots, even in deep cold. A man kneels down and drinks his fill and feels virtuous doing it. He fills his belly with clean, cold water, and he stands up feeling like he has done his body a kindness. He looks at that endless running water, and he thinks, whatever else the country throws at me, I will not want for drink. That water looks like pure safety. It looks like the one thing you can count on, and that is exactly the trick of it. Now hold on to this next part, because it is the whole spine of everything I am going to tell you. A man can have all the water in the world and still die of thirst. I have watched it happen. Water on every side of him, a stream he could hear from his bed, and his body drying out and quitting on him all the same. I'm going to show you exactly how that works, exactly what goes on inside a man to make such a thing possible. But not yet. Keep it in the back of your mind while I lay the rest of the ground, because when I bring you back around to it, it is going to land different. Here is where the danger is born, and it is born the way most real dangers are, out of two things meeting that a man never thought to fear apart. The first is the season. Late winter, when the country has burned off all its softness and gone lean and hard and cruel. The second is the animal, or rather, what is left of the animal by then. Come the first snows, the game is fat, layered thick and yellow along the back and around the gut, and a man eating that is a man kept whole. But the fat does not last the winter on them any more than it lasts on us. As the cold grinds on, the animals burn their own reserves down to nothing, same as a man does. By late winter, the deer and the hare and near everything else has gone gaunt and stringy and dry, all lean red meat stretched over bone, and not a finger's width of fat left anywhere on the carcass. That is what the old hands called the killing time. Not because there was nothing to eat, because what there was to eat was a slow trap, and a hungry man walked right into it grateful. The country lays that trap every single year, patient as stone, and it has been catching men in it longer than anybody can rightly say. And here is the cruel logic of that trap, the part that makes it so deadly. The lean meat is the easiest thing in the world to come by in that season. It is everywhere. The hare are thick in the willows. The deer yard up where a man can find them, and the meat comes off them lean and clean, and looks for all the world like exactly what a starving man needs. So the desperate man does the natural thing, the obvious thing, the thing that feels like pure survival. He eats. He eats all the lean red meat he can hold, morning and night, and he fills his belly to aching with it, and he lies down certain he has fed himself well. He did the thing that has kept men alive since the beginning. He ate the meat the country gave him. And every single time he does it, on that lean, late winter meat with no fat left in it, he digs the hole a little deeper. His body works harder to handle it and gets less back from it. And the harder he works and the more he eats, the faster he goes down. The easiest, most abundant, most obvious food on the whole landscape is the one that is quietly finishing him. He is eating with both hands and starving the whole time. Now here is where most folks go wrong, so lean in close. Because if this next piece does not land, nothing else I tell you will keep you alive. We believe meat is meat. We believe if you are eating flesh, you are fed. We believe a full belly of good red meat is a man kept safe from want. And every bit of that is only half a truth, which is a worse thing than a whole lie. Because a whole lie you might catch, and a half-truth you will trust. Lean meat by itself is a key with no teeth cut into it. It goes in the lock and it turns nowhere. It is a fire laid perfect, with not one crack for the draft to reach it. All the makings of warmth and no way to catch. The body cannot run on lean flesh alone. It was never built to. Ask it to, and it goes to work tearing itself apart, trying to make up the difference. And a man can eat himself to death on rabbit while his belly is full and his plate is loaded. The old hands had a name for that starving, a plain, hard name that told you exactly what was killing you. And it was the meat, and it was the leanness of the meat, and it was the thing missing from the meat that a full belly could never replace. Now the people who lived on this land 1,000 winters running, long before any of my kind ever set a boot on it, they almost never died this way. Almost never. And it was not because the country went easier on them. The country plays no favorites. It was because they did the right thing by instinct and by inheritance, passed down mother to child so far back the reason behind it had near worn smooth. They knew the fat was the prize. They went after the fat first and hardest. The back fat, the fat around the guts, the marrow hid deep in the bone, the rich, soft parts a modern man would turn his nose up at. They knew a lean animal in late winter was a poor bargain, and they knew what to do about it. And the ones who died in droves, were the newcomers. The trappers and the prospectors and the wanderers who came into the country and watched the old ways with half an eye. They copied the doing, and they skipped the knowing. They saw a man eat meat, and they ate meat. They never saw the why underneath it, never asked why he cracked every bone and saved every scrap of fat like it was gold. So they ate the lean and threw the rest away, and the country took them for it, one after another, and never raised its voice. So I am going to hand you the fix now, and I am going to hand it to you in layers, the same slow way it was handed to me. Because if I dumped it all on you at once, you would nod and lose the weight of it. Some things have to be set down, one piece at a time, or they do not hold. The first layer is the one that turns your whole head around, so take it slow. The thing you were chasing is not the thing that saves you. The lean red meat, the muscle, the part we have been trained our whole lives to think of as the good part, the real food, that is not what carries a man through the killing time. Fat is the fuel, and lean is the lie. Say that over to yourself. Fat is the fuel, and lean is the lie. The rich, greasy parts a man is taught to trim off and discard, those are the parts that keep the furnace lit and the core warm and the body whole. The red meat everybody prizes will fill your belly and leave you dying. That is the first flip, and near everything else hangs off it. The second layer is the one almost every soul alive today gets exactly backward, and there is a little curl of disgust that comes with it, a little shame, because we have been raised to find it low and unclean. It is the organs. The liver, the kidneys, the heart, the rich, dark, soft insides that a modern man cannot hardly look at without his stomach turning. We have been taught those are the throwaway parts, the parts you bury or leave for the birds, the parts only a desperate or a backward man would eat. And that disgust, that very turning away, is the exact reason the treasure is still lying there in the snow, untouched, while men starve beside it. The old people ate those parts first and gave them to the ones they loved most. There is more life packed into the liver of a lean animal than in all the muscle hung on its bones. The very feeling that tells you to throw it away is the feeling that has been quietly killing men for 100 years. Learn to override it. The gut turns from the organ and reaches for the lean, and the lean is the thing that cannot save you, and around it goes. What your raising taught you to prize will fail you, and what it taught you to scorn will carry you home. Now the third layer, and this one is all hands and tools and time, the practical doing of the thing. Because knowing is nothing till it lives in your fingers. When you take an animal in the lean time, you do not skin it and cut the muscle off and walk away like most folks would. You go after everything the eye would call waste. You crack the long bones, every one of them, and you dig the marrow out with a stick or the tip of your knife, that soft, rich core that hides down the center of the bone. And that alone is worth more to you than the whole hindquarter. You take the bones and you smash them, break them small with the back of your hatchet or a good round stone, and you put them in your pot with snow melt and you boil them long and slow for the better part of a day. And if you watch that pot as it works, you will see it rise, a film of bright gold gathering and spreading and pooling across the top of the water. Thin at first and then thick, gold as morning sun on fresh snow. That gold is the whole point. That is the grease boiled out of the bone, the very thing your body is screaming for, and you skim it off careful, and you let it cool, and it goes hard and pale. And that is wealth. That is life you can carry in your pack. You save the fat off the gut, and you render it down the same way, gently, till it goes to liquid gold, and then to a clean white cake when it cools. You eat the liver and the kidneys and the heart, and you do not waste the tongue, and you do not waste the eyes, and you do not waste the rich fat behind them. You strip that carcass of every soft, rich thing it has got, and you leave the lean muscle for last, backwards from every instinct a modern man carries. And understand this is not some clever new trick I dreamed up on the trap line. Our own ancient kin were cracking bones for the marrow and boiling out the grease further back than you can rightly picture, further back than any story reaches, long before there was a written word anywhere on this earth to write it down. It is one of the oldest true things we know how to do. Now the fourth layer, and this is the one nobody sees coming, the one that sounds like the raving of a fevered man, until all at once it clicks and you cannot unsee it. When the fat is gone and all you have got is lean, you eat less of it, not more. You hear me? You eat less, not more. Everything in a starving man fights that with his whole soul, because his body is roaring at him to fill the emptiness, to shovel in every scrap he can find. And I am telling you that shoveling in more lean meat when you have got no fat to go with it is pouring water into a boat with a hole in the bottom. The more you eat, the harder you drive the very thing that is killing you. A man on lean meat alone does better going hungry than gorging, and that is the maddest sounding truth in all of this, and it is dead true. Eat less of the lean, not more. When the fat runs out, restraint will outlast appetite every single time. Now, circle back to what I told you to hold on to, that a man can drown in water and die of thirst all at once. Here is exactly how it works, in the plain machinery of the body. When you eat that lean meat with no fat alongside it, your body takes the meat apart to burn it, and that taking apart makes a waste, and that waste has to be flushed out through the water in you. But there is a ceiling on how much of that waste your body can clear in a day. A hard, low ceiling it cannot climb past, no matter how hard it strains. Eat more lean than your body can clear, and the waste starts backing up inside you where it was never meant to sit, poisoning the very blood that is supposed to keep you alive, turning it foul and sour. And to try and flush that backed up poison, your body starts pulling every drop of water it can lay hold of and throwing it out. So you drink and you drink from that clear, cold stream, and it runs straight through you and out. and you dry up from the inside with water standing all around you. That is the thirst in a land of plenty. And when there is no fat to burn for warmth and no fat to help handle the load, the body turns on its own last reserves, burning what little it has stored. And when that is gone, it starts eating its own muscle, tearing itself down just to keep you standing one more hour. You get colder and weaker and slower, and your mind goes soft and dreamy, and all the while your belly is full of meat. A full man can starve to death. That is the flat truth of it. Now that clawing, bottomless, frantic feeling the old accounts all describe, that gnawing that no amount of lean meat will quiet, the way a starving man will weep for something he cannot name, even with a full plate in front of him. That is not greed. It is not weakness of character. It is not a man being soft. It is the body screaming one word over and over, louder and louder, with everything it has got left. The body knows exactly what it is missing, even when the mind has plumb forgotten. And the word it is screaming, the only word, is fat. Fat. It is begging for the one thing that plate cannot give it, and the man mistakes that begging for ordinary hunger and answers it with more of the poison. And here is the cruelest turn of the whole business, the part that shows you the country has a hard humor to it. The season you need the fat the most is the exact season there is none to be found. When the cold is deepest and your body is burning fuel fastest, and you are most desperate for that rich, greasy warmth, that is precisely when every animal on the land has burned its own fat down to nothing right along with you. The need and the lack come at the very same hour. In the fat times of autumn, there is fat everywhere and no great cold to spend it against. And in the killing time, there is killing cold on every side and not an ounce of fat left in the whole country to meet it. That is no accident, and it is no bad luck. That is the country putting you to the test, asking whether you had the sense to lay up the fat when it was there for the taking, and whether you have got the knowing now to wring the last of it out of bone and gut when the easy days are gone. Now let me tell you why nobody ever told you this, and it is quiet, and it is true, and it has got nothing to do with any dark scheme. It comes down, like most things do, to money and to time. A piece of hard survival knowing only stays alive in a people as long as those people actually need it to live. As long as a man's whole winter hung on knowing to crack the bone and save the grease, that knowing got passed down hot and urgent, father to son, because the price of forgetting was a grave. But knowing like that has a death day, same as a man, and I can tell you near enough when it died. It died the day the road finally reached up into the valley. It died the day the store opened its doors and put lard in the tin on a shelf. It died the day a man could walk in with a few coins and buy his fat and his flour and his sugar, instead of wringing his living out of the bone and the gut of what he killed. The day the need died, the knowing started dying right behind it, because nothing useless stays remembered for long. And then something worse happened, something almost too neat to believe till you see the shape of it. The modern trade took that old truth, the truth that fat is the fuel that keeps a man alive, and it turned the thing clean upside down, and then it sold it right back to us. It took the fat, the marrow, the grease, the very stuff that carried our kin through 10,000 winters, and it stamped a word on it and taught us to fear it, taught us that lean was the clean and virtuous choice, and fat was the thing that would do us harm. It taught us to trim it and drain it and throw it away and feel righteous doing it, and to prize the lean muscle that a starving trapper would have wept to be handed. And there is no dark counsel behind that, no hidden hand. It is just the plain, quiet arithmetic of what sells. There is no money in telling a man to eat the free, greasy parts he already has. There is a world of money in selling him the lean and a fear of the rest. The truth pays nobody. The inversion pays everybody. So the inversion is what got taught. Let me be straight with you now, the way I would want a man to be straight with me, because I would rather you trust me than be impressed by me. This exact death is not going to come for most of you listening. I will not sit here and tell you it will. Most of you will never be more than a short drive from a warm room and a full shelf. And this particular killing time will never lay a hand on you. It only comes for a man under a hard and narrow set of conditions. It comes when you are living off the land and nothing else, no store food at all, for weeks on end. It comes when the fat has run out of the game and all that is left is lean. It comes when the cold is deep and long and burning you down. Line those three up together, and the trap is set for you the same as it was set for them. And here is the reverse of it, the part that ought to make you sit up straight. Every single man it ever came for was just as certain as you are right now that it would never come for him, right up until the hour it had him by the throat. Now here is the hard proof, so you know I am not just an old man telling old man stories by a fire. There is a booklet the United States Army put out for men who might go down in the far north, back in the years around the Second World War, and it warned in plain words that a man in the cold country could not live on lean meat alone and would sicken and die on it no matter how much he ate, and that he had to have the fat. That was not folklore. That was an army trying to keep its men breathing. And there was a man named Vilhjalmur Stephenson, an explorer who spent long years living among the northern peoples and eating as they ate. And he came back and told the doctors flat out that a man could live in the finest health on meat alone, provided he ate it fat, and would sicken fast on the same meat eaten lean. And when they doubted him, he lay himself down under the eyes of those doctors and lived on nothing but meat to prove it. And he did fine on the fat meat, and got sick as a dog the moment they made him eat it lean, and got well again the moment they gave the fat back. There is a field account of the cure working right there, the sickness coming with the lean and leaving with the fat, watched close by men who came to laugh and stayed to believe. That is no legend. That happened. So carry these few things out of here in your head, and you will have the whole of it. When the fat runs out of your game, eat less of the lean, not more. Crack every bone and boil it long, and skim off the gold, and never pour it out. Eat the liver and the heart and the organs first, and save the lean muscle for last. Chase fat the way other men chase meat, and lay it up in the fat times against the lean ones coming. And never let a full belly tell you that you are safe, because a full belly is the best liar the country ever raised. And here is the real lesson, the one bigger than fat or meat or any of it. Those men did not die because the country was cruel to them. The country was never cruel. The country was only ever just the country, going about its seasons the way it always has, feeling nothing about them one way or the other. They died because they were certain. They were sure they knew what food was, sure a full belly meant a safe man, sure the water running past would keep them, and it was the certainty that killed them, not the cold. The wilderness never kills the humble man half as fast as it kills the sure one. So carry the whole of it small enough to hold in one hand. Fat is the fuel, lean is the lie. Chase the grease and the gut and the marrow. Eat less when the fat is gone, and never trust a full belly to tell you the truth. That is it. That is the thing that near went into the frozen ground with the last of the men who knew it, and I will not stand by and watch it go. Now I would truly like to know, did your grandparents or your old people keep any part of this? Did they save the grease in a can on the stove, or crack the bones for the marrow, or eat the parts we have learned to throw away? And what did they call it? Tell me, because that is how it stays alive. And next time, I will give you one that sounds just as backward as this one did when I started, that the coldest, wettest night in the country is the very night you must not build your fire too big. And I will show you exactly why the big fire is the one that lets the cold in. Take care of your fire tonight. Keep it small and steady and close. And do not ever trust a full belly to tell you the truth.